Good morning. It is August, but it is a very grey day. Thought we might start at the top this time, chaps. Get a bit of a different view. This is coming in from the main path. And the black elder, this is black lace Sambucus nigrans, is looking gorgeous. These are the little berries, which are soon to be Sambuca, which I'm pretty excited about. The goldenrod is flowering, which is beautiful. And this camellia, I need to do quite a lot of work up here. This camellia's got massive, needs to be chopped back, as has the bay, which is in desperate need of a haircut. But yeah, the bay needs a huge chop back, but it's looking really, really lush and healthy. So this is the way into the plot through the gate. The first thing we come to is the fig, which this year we had no figs on, like ready to ripen nowish during summer. But we've got masses of them coming, which is a bit of a dilemma really, because the summer's been so appalling, they're never going to ripen. I mean, unless we have a boiling hot November and December. We're just not going to get any figs this year, which is a bit of a shame. But we have had masses of blackberries. We've just been picking these constantly. And something that has been really nice this year is the flowers. Like, they've just absolutely loved the amount of rain we've got. The apricot tree is now without any apricots. I'm pleased to say it's not because the squirrels got them, but it's because we have eaten them all, and they were much more successful than I thought they were going to be, weren't they, Bertha? Yes, they were. This is going to be a bit of a feature this time. We've got loads of nasturtiums, and they're looking really, really fantastic. So I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of nasturtiums in this little plot tour. But let's go into the fruit cage. Look at that, it's grown all the way across the door. I think it'll open though without me pulling it too hard. Come on then, chap. Off we go. There we go. Right, fruit cage. So these gooseberries along this edge, do you remember I planted them in as fan trained? Well, I really, really need to get in there and reshape them. I haven't done anything to them since I put them in, which is a bit silly really. I needed to get on that. And they've got all this curling. This sort of curling I would normally expect to be coming from aphid damage, but I can't see any aphids on there at all. So if anyone's got any ideas, let me know. The strawberries that are in the hanging pots up here are sending out runners like crazy. Most of the strawberries are pretty much over now. This is the only one which is still producing. I think this was a really late variety, but I can't remember the variety name, I'm afraid. This one's finished, and so is the one on the other side. Now this is quite a surprise. This is not competition-winning sweetcorn, I'll give you that. But it's alive, which is an awful lot more than I thought it was going to be after my disastrous planting out attempt. We've got this one which is starting to get excited, but unfortunately it's only one of them, which isn't going to do it much good. We need a few more than one, but still, yeah, they're alive. This is more than I was expecting. Tree cabbage is still going strong. I've got a feeling this might be coming up to its sort of last year. It's just looking a little bit tired. This, chaps, is a sea kale, which is, I'm just growing on in the pot at the moment because I can't seem to make a decision about where to put it. So that's staying in the pot, but isn't it gorgeous? That grey's magnificent. Raspberries are looking fab so far, absolutely covered, and we're just starting to get some now. Look at these. Beauties, absolute beauties. I tell you what's not beauties is the grapevine. It's gone crazy, so it's grown really, really tall, all the way up there on the outside, but look at this. This is the first grape I've ever grown, and I don't know what this is. If anybody knows, drop me a line. No sign of any grapes yet. I mean, this is its first summer, so... Oh, no, I take that back. Look at this prime, juicy bunch. More nasturtiums. These guys are all the self-seeded ones that have just kind of happened. Look at this beautiful orange chap. And then a really bright one. They're all just in and around in the Brassica bed. So underneath here we've got kohlrabi. Some of them are looking pretty good. He looks good. Some of them have split though, which is just the weather. I mean, it's just been terrible, but look at that. A monster kohlrabi. Still edible though. Still perfectly edible. Just got to chop that bit out. And then running on from them, we have got the Cavallonero, which I've got to say is looking pretty good. I'm going to have to raise the netting a little bit because they're getting squashed. But yeah, they look wonderful. Bit of white fly, not too much. In fact, this spider is doing me a right favour, catching a few. Brussels sprouts, looking all right. Got the weeds coming up. I need to get the netting off here really and give it a good sort out. Take off the lower leaves and weed it out. Couple of cabbages. We've actually eaten one of these cabbages and it was really lovely and hearty, a bit like that one's just sort of coming now. We've got 3 more and they look pretty promising actually. And more kohlrabi. Sticking with the brassicas, these are the cabrock that I've just planted out. I don't know if you remember. Oh look, the sun's out. You can see a shadow. Woo-hoo-hoo. Right, back to the brassicas. We have got Courgettes in here, which are coming up really good. Really appreciate the fact that my phone likes to focus on the netting and not what's behind it, but never mind. More Cavallonero, looking lush. This one's slightly smaller than the one in the other bed. They were planted out a bit later. And of course, more kohlrabi. At the end here, this is the first arch going along the side, and look at this. This is so upsetting. This is an achocha, was growing really happily, really good. Look, it's even got a little achocha about to do its thing. But look what's happened. Somebody's just eaten straight through the stem. That's not okay. Look. There was no rescuing it. There was no leaf below the bite mark, so there wasn't anything I could do. It's just gone. The ones on this side look all right though. This one was slightly slower growing than the other one, so it's a bit behind, but look, come on, if I can get this to focus, you can see a little, come on, sorry, yeah, a little achocha with a flower. Very nice, very nice. Just next to it is a loofah, but I don't suspect I'm going to be getting any loofahs this year. The third of the Brassica Beds, in here we've got the 9-star broccoli, and again it's growing so well I'm going to have to lift up this mesh, which is quite amazing really, and I totally put it down to the field beans. The field beans that were in these Brassica Beds have just stood them in such good stead. They're growing like crazy. So I need to release them from their captivity. So that is the perennial cauliflower, the 9-star broccoli. And this end of the bed is where I put the mystery brassicas. Some have been identified. That one's clearly a curly kale. This is a kale. These guys, on the other hand, no idea. First of the bean archers. These ones are yellow beans and they're really prolific. Look, we've got masses of them. But can you see how they've got like a ribbed texture? Normally, when the French beans go like that, it means they're like well past their best. But actually, these ones grow like that. This is Nudecker, a yellow bean. And they are tender as anything, even though they've got this really kind of like gnarly look about them. There's no string in them and they're beautiful. And really, really different in shape to these, which are another French bean. This is Cobra, so they're on the next one over. Oh, we are being photobombed by a Verbena bonariensis. But yeah, these beans, these are really super smooth, so like proper classic French beans. These are Cobra, really long, really smooth, really gorgeous. But yeah, and they've got these stunning little like pinky purple flowers. They are so pretty, coming up both sides, looking really good. The bed under here, this is another nasturtium appreciation moment. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And we also planted a load of pastel shades of gladioli in here. Pastel shades, huh? This is like burning my retinas. It's so bright. They've actually been put in the new asparagus bed. So these are asparagus berries. But we won't be picking from these asparagus for another 2 years or so. The strawberries in the strawberry bed have completely finished producing now, so they're all uncovered and have been taken over by nasturtiums and massive rhubarb. I'm going to have to clear some of this rhubarb because there's no way we need all this. There's just tons of it. But it's looking really happy. It's so lush. And at the end here, we've got, can I get this to focus? There we go. We have got the purple beans. These are Violetta, one of my favourites. So we've got the yellow Nudecker, the green Cobra, and the purple Violetta along the edge, demonstrating really nicely how easy to pick they are when they're growing on arches, because they will just hang down for you to harvest, which is pretty handy. On the other side of the rhubarb bed is our kind of really well established asparagus bed, which are these guys that have all gone into fern now. And then along the edge we have got the garlic chives. How pretty are these? And you can see from the flowers like how different they are to normal chives. So obviously the plants look really different anyway, but when they flower, yeah, they just don't look the same at all. But they're so handsome. Aren't they attractive? They're really, really beautiful. Through here you can see the bundled mess of the cornflowers. They never recovered from that storm. They didn't recover. I love the asparagus when they get to this stage. They are so pretty. Just going around the back. So this is a dahlia that we just plonked into the ground. Didn't think it was going to do anything. It's taken ages to grow. If we get a bit of sunshine, we might get some flowers on that. And these are the tree cabbages that are actually planted in a bed rather than in the wrong place in a fruit cage. They also need to have their netting raised. It's all getting a bit bunched and bundled. It's this horrible green plastic stuff that I really need to get rid of. But they need a bit of help. I tell you what, carrots have not been great this year. Let me just see if I can get through this netting with the focus. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes. Okay, so the first 4 rows of carrots, so that was 2 separate sowings, came up fine. The carrots are really split because they've just been too wet and everything. But the last 2 rows that we grew, 1. We have got 1 carrot. Look at it on its own there. 1 carrot. But I think we've got a solution, which I will show you in a minute. Just on the end, we have some beetroot. This is Rubrida 6 in here, looking nice. There's also some Boldor in here, but we've picked all the big ones, so we're just waiting for them to come good. That's the yellow one. Beetroot has not been bad this year. Oh, the sun's out again. Oh, joy. In the final bed of this strip down the edge, we've got turnips in here, which are just starting to form something. These are purple top Milan. You can see a bit of glimpse of purple through there, and there's also snowball just behind them, which are white. Some of them have gone to seed, which is a bit of a shame. I'll go through and kind of pick out what I can from here. I really like the greens, the leaves on these as well though, so we'll pick out anything that's gone to seed and just use it for greens. On this side we have got Crimson Globe, beetroot just coming up. It's a long way behind what we've got in the other bed, but we should get some before the end of the summer. A couple of sporadic fennels that we're trying out here. And I've also got a load of really closely planted red barren onions in here, which I'm going to pick small just like this and use for pickled onions. Yum scrum. The very few parsnips that we've got after our previous chickens ripped the seedlings to shreds. Behind them is another subtly coloured gladioli. And the potatoes. Potatoes are all ready to come out now. We've just got to turf them all out of their bags. Another dahlia. This is a white cactus form. Looks a bit of a state actually. I think it's been slugged. Now, before we go in here, I just want to say this is sad times. This is sad times in the greenhouse. I know the weather hasn't been great, but there's got to be something else going on in here. I used that really woolly compost from New Horizon to pot up this stuff, and I really wasn't happy with it when I was potting it up, but I thought it would be fine, and I just don't think it is. Nothing is thriving in here. We've got bits and pieces coming, like there's lots of single peppers, but these plants are tiny. They are just tiny. Look, we've got black jalapeno, but two jalapenos on there. The cucumber, we have had quite a few of this, but I mean, it's just not prolific. Look how like sporadic it is. There's another one on the end. It's just a disaster area in here. And look at these cucumbers. What's going on here? Yeah, it's all a bit of a shame in here, chaps. All a bit of a shame. And when you do get one, it gets eaten. Chives look good though. Gonna get them outdoors soon. We've also got a bit more replacement parsley to go out. They're gonna go into the gaps in the polytunnel. More herbs, we've got some dill. We've got coriander in the next row. I love when you see the coriander seedlings come up and they've still got those massive like ball seeds on the end. They look really funny. And basil. Basil has got really distinctive seedlings. They're lovely. Thai basil over here, that's ready to go into the polytunnel to patch up the holes in the old one we've got. Another pepper from a tiny plant. An aubergine that's just not doing anything. Yeah, chaps, it's just not good. I mean, this is a very, very sad state of affairs. Look at the melon. It's just about starting to kind of take off now, but there's no melons on it, and it's tiny. It really is a shame. The greenhouse is a bit of a disaster zone. I find it quite depressing in here. Sorry about, we're just in the little depressing corner at the moment. It'll get better in a minute, I promise. But look at the mulberry tree. Do you remember last year when I was just picking mulberries like there was no tomorrow? Look at these. It's so wet. They're just rotting on the branches. They're not even ripening. They're just going mouldy. It is so depressing. The other side of the tree looks a bit healthier. You can see the leaves are looking quite good. And there are some fruit. But the blooming wood pigeons have discovered them. Look, so there are some coming. You see that one behind there is quite dark. He looks like he's probably ready to pick. But yeah, we found pigeons in there, which is just a nightmare. Because up until now, the pigeons have just completely ignored this tree. Okay, so this is my carrot solution that I was just talking about. We decided, you know, when I... So these two beds here are just made up from those really cheap compost bins that I bought. And the carrots are currently over here, but I can use that whole box, fits right over the top. So we are going to fill in this box on this side, this first one, and like line it properly and have some carrot beds, specifically for carrots with sieved soil in them. So I'm quite excited about that. Up the main drag, we have got sorrel. The sorrel is looking unbelievably lush because the girls haven't been at it. Obviously, we haven't had any chickens to attack it recently, so it's looking really lush. The chimney wrapper that I sowed fairly recently, we've had 3 huge pickings off that, so it's looking a bit sad. I'm going to leave it to recover. Tree spinach in its pink glory. Up the bean alley, look at this. So this is the Moonlight Runnerbeans. I don't know if you remember, I had really poor germination with these, but the ones that did germinate that were on this side, look, they are so prolific. Look at this. It's just masses of them, and we've been picking them like crazy. There are so many beans on here. And it's the other side, so these are the ones that were my replacement sowings, so they are about 3-4 weeks behind those, so I'm hoping it's going to kind of extend our season a bit. The bed behind them, we have got the first of the squash. These are winter squash, big old leaves. Look at these. I can't remember what these are called, summertime, I think. We have some zinnias, which came from Sarah, which is lovely. We've also got a sweet potato in here, but the chances of getting a sweet potato with no sun is basically 0. Chicory is still flowering like crazy, getting some seed pods in here, and loads more of these gorgeous periwinkle blue flowers. They're so pretty. We've got some squash. This is really lovely. These are the mashed potato squash, and look at the little like leaves surrounding the flowers. Isn't that cute? I think they are really, really nice. They're lovely. No female flowers on here yet though, they're all male. So that is the mashed potato squash. Down the other end, this is where I planted out loads of beetroot seedlings that then the birds came along and just pulled them all out. So there's barely anything left in there. But the mustard that I planted at the same time is looking pretty good. They're all coming good. I love the veining on these leaves. It's really pretty. Dragon's tongue mustard, this is called. Lovely, lovely. And a couple of radishes. These are French breakfast. Same bed where the birds pulled all the beetroot out. They have been attacking my bietta, which is like a perpetual spinach. Behind there we have got the Marina di Chioggia winter squash, which are coming along really nicely. We've got quite a few of them, loads coming, and we've got a couple of reasonable size ones, but look at this. It has squashed itself right in there, and I didn't see it in time to get it out, so now it's just in there. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to manoeuvre it down a bit so it's not malformed. Another one up here. More nasturtium babies. These are the pale yellow ones, and then there's like a peachy one. Yeah, and then boom, pink. This is a rare sight. We've got a pretty much empty bed here. It's just got a load of self-sown rocket in it and a couple of gladioli. Again, another subtle pastel shade. Oh dear. The second of the main arches, we've got the Greek Gigantese, which are a form of runner bean, but they're used for drying, and they form these really fat, beautiful beans. And last year we got barely any of them, a bit like the Borlottis. So we're still eating 2019's ones. But it looks like we're going to be able to replenish our stocks this year because they are coming on fine. Bed of the 200 million leeks that I planted out, slightly accidentally, still going strong. We've got a really weedy courgette plant here. I don't know what's going on with it. It's just never really got going. We have had a couple of courgettes from it though. And in here we've got the round courgettes. Had quite a few of these, which is nice for a bit of a change. There's a little tiny one coming there. Green courgettes. The artichoke that we got from John up the path, it looks like it's taken, which is nice. The cucamelon. So this doesn't look anywhere near as beautiful and lush as the cucamelon did at the Curve Garden. But look, we do have little cucamelons. We do have some. We do. Come on, little cucamelon. Grow lush and strong like a big bean. Talking of big beans, the Borlotti, also looking good. Like I said, same with the Greek Gigantese. We're still eating 2019's harvest because we had absolutely basically nothing last year. So hopefully these are going to replenish our freezer stocks full of beans for drying for use over winter. Great colour. Absolutely fantastic scarlet colour. Under the arch on this side, we have got some skinny leafed rocket and some parsley. Parsley is kind of a bit of a mix between curly leaf, like this, and the flat leaf Italian, like that. More courgettes, more courgettes. Got a couple. This is my green tiger, my fave, a beauty. The courgettes in this bed have done really well, actually. Much better than in the bed behind me. Got a sunburst, a yellow one. But look, I need to get on these with the chive oil. They're starting to get terrible mildew. This is another rocket. This was meant to be a red-veined rocket, but look, I mean, it's slightly red, but I'm not very impressed with that as an exciting variety. Eating the last of the nipper leeks that were put into this bed when the courgettes were really small, so we're working our way through them. Patty pans. This patty pan is Bennington's green tint and it is utterly delicious. So tasty. This is the dark green patty pan we've got going on, which is Patterson Gagat, which is also delicious, but there's just something about that Bennington's green one which is Celery, we're growing that for seed. And look at that, what a surprise, more courgettes. Actually, this is the bed that I've just had to take the outdoor tomatoes out of, the ones that had blight. So I'm going to have to get these sticks out to use them for something else. And the chard is looking a bit weedy actually, but it's only looking a bit weedy because we have been eating it like crazy and it hasn't had a chance to recover. Poor chard. And these. Even though the sun isn't shining and hasn't shined for ages, these are just so lovely to look at. They just scream summer, don't they? Beautiful dahlias. I mean, look at that. It just makes your mouth water. It's so lovely. This is a really lovely one. We planted this one last year, but it never flowered, so it's been a bit of a surprise. We've got a bit of an orange theme going on here, what with these chaps too. These make wonderful cut flowers, the ball-shaped ones. They seem to last for ages. So yeah, this was the new one this year that we didn't flower. We've also got this little chap. I mean, Stumpy. I'm going to dig him out and put him in a pot, I think, because this is meant to be for cut flower and, like, they're not much good for that, are they? And my favourite, Happy Single. Beautiful. Got some lettuces going in here. These guys keep getting, like, either pulled out by birds or slugged, so we've got a load of replacements down the bottom that we keep just infilling with. But they're coming good. We've got a mixture of different varieties in here. So they should work out quite nicely. There's some just behind the spring onions too. Some blown fennel. And then we've got, these are the two bed boxes, which I was so excited about fitting. I haven't actually done anything with them yet. They're currently just kind of keeping the parsley company underneath. The savoury is flowering, looking very pretty. We thought that had died last year actually, so it's really nice to see it in good health. Bit of perpetual spinach along here. The birds don't seem to be going for this one, which is good. I mean, now I've said it, there won't be anything left in the morning, but you know, chicory or radicchio chicory, so that's just starting to form a head, which is quite nice. A bit more tree spinach. Leaf celery gone to seed, and these are just a disastrous set of peas that did absolutely nothing. And this is a sunflower that had its head taken off by a slug. And look, it's responded really beautifully. It was a bit touch and go because the other two that were in there, as you can see, have not responded beautifully. Not responded at all. Next big job that we've got, I've got to turn the compost, which is a bit of a job. So that'll probably be in the next couple of weeks. We have got some self-seeded tree spinach down here. That colour is just amazing. Climbing over the compost bins, we've got the 3 Crown Prince plants that we have growing in the other compost bin. Look at that. I've actually got something. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Looking lovely. Yeah, so there's only 3 plants we've got in there, and so far we've got about 7 fruit on the go. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Last year we had 3 plants and 2 fruit. So it's an improvement. Another nasturtium. That one's really bright. I'll tell you what, this is really strange. So my pear tree just suddenly started flowering again. What is that all about? Don't know. It's obviously very confused. Buddleia is in flower. I know Buddleia really divides opinion, but I think their worth to the butterflies, etc., just makes them worthwhile. And I love the smell of them. The flower beds around the pond are just not looking anything like they did last year, which is a bit of a shame. We've got a comfrey here that's got its feet in underneath the gunnera. I'm going to have to try and dig it out, but without disturbing the gunnera too much. Pond needs some help. It's got really full. The leucanthemums still going strong. I mean, it does look really pretty. On this side of the pond, it looks lovely. It's just nothing like it was. Like this crocosmia is looking so lush this year. It's just funny, it's like so many, it's just so different. This is exactly the same seed mix that I sowed last year, where we had all of those incredible like jewels of toadflax just tumbling everywhere. And this year, they're just a bit sporadic. It's just not quite the same. I mean, I know every year is different, but funny to kind of, you have exactly the same seed mix and such a different outcome. The goldenrod that we've got on this side of the pond though is alive with bees. It's absolutely alive. Hey, Mr. Bee. My sunflowers have had the heads taken off them by the squirrels. Look at that one. It has peeled it back. There is, look at that. There is one still on here at the back that they haven't had yet. And there's a couple more coming, which is... I'm sure the squirrels are thrilled that there's more coming. But look at this. It's one thing taking the flowers, but when you've got these beautiful big buds coming and then they just snap them. Oh, frustrating. The Lychnis, on the other hand, is ready to have its seed collected, so I will probably be getting on with that this afternoon. The Cosmos are looking amazing. We had terrible Cosmos last year, so these guys have done a good job, looking very cheerful. You waiting for the sun too, girls? Yep. Me too. There's a sweet potato hidden in the back here, but like I say, no sun, no sweet potatoes. Some Rebecca. The honeysuckle is starting to bush up loads, so I'm going to try and tie that in a bit more so that it covers this back wall. And more verbena. It is everywhere this year. The hyssop is flowering beautifully, and the red vein sorrel, which tastes disgusting but looks gorgeous, is growing away quite happily. Sage and oregano. The oregano flowers are really sweet. The other side of the polytunnel door is just an absolute mass of calendula that's completely drowning out my rosemary. Poor rosemary. Right, let's get in that polytunnel. We have got a lot of green tomatoes in here. That one is the Japanese black truffelli. Look, we've just got so many tomatoes, but there are a few reddening up. I mean, these guys, actually, these look really, really red on the camera, but they're actually really quite pale. They've got quite a long way to go before they're pickable. Yeah. And we're also getting quite a lot of splitting. This one in here is split. It's from, it's entirely our fault. It's, we've been really inconsistent with the watering. And I know that's my fault, totally. It's just because it's been so wet outside. I keep forgetting that, like, in here, it's not wet. And last year it was so wet in here all the time because of the humidity that I've kind of decided in my head that it's quite damp in here, and actually it's not. So I need to really get on that. Oh, here's another one that's split. This is a Brad's Atomic. That one's split and mouldy. A double whammy. Nice, nice, nice. I mean, there are some coming in here. It's not a complete disaster at all. It's just nowhere near as kind of abundant as it was last year. They look a good colour, don't they? They're nice. And we've got some yellow ones. We do have some peppers coming along in here though, waiting for those ones to go red. These guys look fab. These are a nice capsicum pepper. It's just that the plants are so small. So we've got these guys. I mean, look, that's a really handsome pepper. But the plant itself is tiny. Talking of tiny plants, an aubergine with a... oh dear. Yep. And another tiny aubergine. These look good though. So these are my Turkish kill peppers that I got from a girl on Instagram. I won them and I'm well happy with them. I've picked a couple and they are delish. So they're looking really good. Very nice black Zulu pepper to be picked soon. But as a comparison, so this is the Frigatello. Do you remember me raving about how wonderful Frigatellos were last year? But the plants were like this tall. They were massive last year and we had about 10, 15 peppers on them each, you know, at a time. This year we've got one pepper. Aubergine, this one has got a beautiful big flower on it and it's really picked up in the last couple of weeks. Even the basil is small. Hey, Mr. Lemongrass. And the Thai basil. Okay, I'm just going to skirt around the edge of the chicken house because we did actually pick up the girlies today and they're in there. But I'm going to try and keep them off screen. These are the calendula strawberry something, I think they were called. And a sneak preview. We've got girls in there. We have got girls. Couple of good looking apples on the trees this year though. Underneath here we have been planting out some mints actually. We've got this one's pineapple mint, which is actually looking pretty healthy. It's really picked up since we put it in the ground, and a couple of mints that I just took from cuttings from, you know, supermarket mint, coming along well. Few bits and pieces that are really ready to plant out. These are our reserve lettuces for when the other ones get slugged. I've got a bit of bold or beetroot. There is some Fordhook Giant, various bits and bobs in here. This is the chicory coming up, what has been left by the slugs. And look at this. If you need any more evidence that the pigeons have found the mulberry tree, this whole area is just in a terrible state. We're going to have a huge clear out. Even the blooming dahlias covered in poo. But I'm going to end on the most magnificent nasturtium that we have on the plot. Look at that beauty. Okay, that is the plot. August 2021. Doesn't feel like August. It feels pretty grey, pretty miserable. But I've got some chickens to deal with, so I'll see you on Tuesday when you can meet them as well. They're pretty cute. They're really cute actually. That's pretty cute. It's just a massive understatement. They're gorgeous. All right. I will see you on Tuesday, chaps. Ta-ra!